It's no secret that I'm a big fan of Big Dog Steel products. I have a couple of their stands for different things. In fact, this is their official logo and card. And I just ordered a stand for something, and when I talked to them, they said, hey, we're going to throw a couple wrenches in there and tell us what you think, because they know that I deal with a lot of different presses and different things. So first off, in all fairness, these were given to me to test out. So this is, again, one of those few things that I did not pay for, but as you know, I am still pretty objective about this stuff. So here's what you've got. There's 3 different wrenches that they offer. There is the Lee wrench. There is a 1-inch wrench, both closed and boxed, and then or open, and then a Hornady wrench. And this is sort of the rings that they will cover. So, you know, if you're familiar with these Hornady style where they're flat at the top, they're going to fit inside this one. And then if you have these 1-inch rings, Dylan comes to mind as the most common. They're going to fit great into there, and both sides of this. So that's really great for those. And then this is the one that excited me the most, which is the Lee. As you know, I use the Lee APP and the ACP, and there's a couple things. I don't do a lot of changes on it, but these are not the easiest dies to get a hold of and turn in and out, and there's really no good wrench for it. In fact, I bought this like 3D printed one on eBay, and I honestly threw it out the day I got it because it was so horrible and didn't fit. So I was pretty excited when he said, hey, we've got one that will fit. And you have to, with the Lee, it's weird because it's got the, you know, the lock screw that sticks out a little bit, and you can see that they allow for that over here. And their wrenches are a tight fit, I won't lie. I'll show you. In fact, we're going to do an on the press usage here, but they are tight, but they're meant to be tight, and that's okay. So let's head over to the bench. I will show you these in action. First up, we have the Lee die. Now, this is, they're like all in one. I use these on the APP all the time. I've got them on, you know, for instance, my expander mandrel die, and I've got them on my, where is it? I've got them on my decapping die. This happens to be the 3rd one in the pack that I got, and I thought it'd be easier to show you without a die in there. So these rings, you know, there's some friction to them when you put them in, and because you're pushing down on an O-ring with it, and it's really hard to grab these and feel like you're getting them fully engaged. With some dies, it doesn't necessarily matter, but other dies you're using, you know, you want to make sure they're seated all the way. And so to be able to have this ring, and now I'm at a hard stop, that was huge. And that's why I tried buying those other ones before I knew that they made these. But there's no way that I can, with my hands, get this all the way to a hard stop. And so having the ring really is a huge benefit for me. If I, you know, if I show you with my die in here. So normally I've had to kind of grab the outside of my die and kind of do my best to twist it down. And then, you know, you have to figure out how to orient this the best to however you put your die in. But to be able to come in here and snug it up, you know, that's a really big deal for me. I think I've definitely noticed a difference in feeling like I'm really getting the setting exactly where I need it to. You know, same thing goes for all of these dies. But if I take you over to my ACP, it's the opposite problem. So down here on the underside is where, and I can do that real easily with this one, you can see there is the opposite, which is it's not a shell holder, but it's their priming unit that goes in, and that's another one where it's really hard to grab under here. So to be able to just come under this and just snug it all the way up, I really like being able to do that. So for me, the Lee ring, if you own any Lee rings, this thing is a 100% winner. On a side note, since there's really only one way to do this, what they did with the extra metal is they left you a universal wrench. So if I take, let me just take for instance you know, if I've got like, this is just a 1/4 nut and screw. If I've got one of these somewhere and I need to do any wrenching on it, this is a universal wrench, so it just automatically sizes down and I can, you know, torque on it. So if you're doing any kind of, you know, in fact here, I can even show you, like if I needed to do an adjustment on this, you know, you could come in here and loosen that nut up. You know, it's just another handy thing to have. So, you know, there's that. All right, let's go to my other press, and I'm going to show you their wrenches on the Hornady and the 1-inch rings. So here we go. Let's look at a 1-inch ring. So this is a Mighty Armory decapping die. Let's say I get it adjusted. They do come with just a standard 1-inch die ring on them. I have two choices. I can use the closed end or I can use the open end. Being that this is close to another ring, this gives me plenty of room to get in and still tighten down that ring however I see fit. And this, because of how it's designed, is still big enough to slip over that die and tighten down if I need to as well. So it does give me two different options with these 1-inch rings. While I've got these other ones all set up on die rings already, you can see, again, there's plenty of clearance. If I was using 1-inch rings, if I was coming over here and needed to tighten down any of these, you can see that there is plenty of room to get over it. So if you end up in a situation where you cannot use the you know, the closed end, you certainly can fit the open end and tighten down whatever you need or get in there to loosen whatever you want. And these are anodized aluminum. They're really light, but they have the feel of like tool steel. And I can't see, you know, ever denting or, you know, just really hammering on these things and having a problem. So far in everything that I've tested, you can get in there and do any kind of adjustment that you need to. So that is the standard 1-inch wrench. Let's take a look at the Hornady wrench now. Now we are going to take a look at the, where did it go? We're going to take a look at the Hornady wrench. Now you'll notice that there's two holes. They're both the same, but they're on different angles. That way you can get into different areas to get your wrench on it. And I think that's pretty smart. You may be saying, well, how come you don't have an open end on this? Well, I suspect, although I don't know for sure, but I suspect that if you were to cut the ends off where you could reach on this, these would flex too much to give you the proper grab. So you got to make sure you go over them, which is why I think it's smart that they created a double-ended wrench so that you can get to just about any situation. And what we're talking about is we're talking about using this style of ring here. So these have the flat sides on them. These are kind of a lightweight aluminum. These are the heavier steel ones. I'll go ahead and throw one of these steel ones on real quick and show you. So we're going to take our same Mighty Armory die. We're going to thread it in as if we were using it. And where am I at here? All right, so let's just say I have my setting. I tighten this down. Okay, so now the ring is locked onto the body of the die, and now I want to cinch it down each time. Well, I can come in with this wrench and come in right over it, and now I can make sure that it is tightened, and I can come in and easily loosen it. And even with other rings in the way, I've got two different options as far as how to get some leverage in there. I can come in that way. Now see, in this particular situation, there's no room for it, but if I flip the wrench over, now I can suddenly get some leverage and tighten that down. And then if I need to loosen it, I can flip it over and go the other way to loosen it up that way. So again, pretty smart design. It is a tight fit. Like all of these you've noticed are a little bit of a tight fit, and they do that on purpose because you want to make sure that your rings are fitting tight. If you didn't have a tight fit on this, you would ultimately end up sort of wearing out some of the corners. You'd end up getting a little bit of stretch on it, and that's not what you want when you're trying to tighten or loosen these things up. You want to make sure that when it's doing the job. So, you know, they do fit right to what they're supposed to. There is not a lot of slop in here. They are good and tight on what they should be doing. So I do like that, but it may take you a little getting used to if you haven't had a set of, you know, ring wrenches like that before. So there you go. We've got, just in retrospect, We've got the Hornady wrench, the double-ended one. We've got the Lee wrench. And then we have the 1-inch double-sided wrench. And they come in a couple different combo packs or individually. So if you only need the Lee, you can buy the Lee. If you want to buy a combo pack, you can save some money by buying the combo pack. But, you know, again, I appreciate the guys at Big Dog sending them over. You know, I think they're useful. You know, there's a lot of times you end up using, like, this is the worst thing is I'm as guilty of anybody as grabbing one of these to try to open up wrenches because I'm lazy at the time. And having these, I now find that I just don't have that situation occurring. So anyway, if you've been looking for a set of good wrenches, but you don't want to have something cheap, pick up these Big Dog wrenches. They're well made. I don't know. I think they're a good set. So there you go. You guys have a good one.